trying to get it turned into a club.
Yeah.
Hopefully better.
The following is an interview with the band The Adams Said.
So Reese called me from the airport and let me know that you called him up.
It wouldn't have any. It wouldn't have anything. No tables. You know, there would be like a bar in the back.
This is really good.
Don't open that door. The refrigerator door. Trust me on this. You gotta tell everybody. You're not even joking.
How long has this place been closed down?
It's been closed down for about, there are nails everywhere. It's been closed down for a year.
That's all?
Yeah, the water table burst. So it rains.
Yeah.
Water flows
Very much.
Hey,
It feels like it.
Shoes.
It feels like it's close.
High school, I thought it was way for our home. Higher up the rack.
Now this is a really extraordinary thing.
It's break ash.
It's like present. It's unbelievable. What's it for?
Do I have questions for The Adams Said?
Or are we supposed to be like just
Entertain you or
three
something.
blokes out having a good time, you know?
Well, we'll start
Remember
with
when you
you.
were gonna name Ray Reeves? You play Reeves.
Yeah.
Oh, you can be Reeves, yeah. I have a pair of glasses in my purse you can borrow.
You can go, a lot.
No, the phrase is I maintain. But I maintain.
Well, I maintain that, never mind. You guys take this one. I did a lot of tours with Dave.
Dave is going to have a hernia. Oh, sorry.
I think the less that Reeves
Hernia?
that man, the better off.
I get hernia. I was born with a hernia.
Apparently they were singing and the boy was doing some singing. He couldn't hit some high notes. He kept holding himself right here. So he said, hey, Dave, what's up?
Dave, what's
It's
up
not on
with
tape.
No, no.
It's running!
He'll kill us.
This is
Deal.
I suggest that you come over here.
Who then?
yeah, no, it's the guy Dave has a late night talk show.
Letterman.
He's the one who's
Right.
as if you couldn't tell.
I knew there was something wrong with him. No, I gave myself a hernia when I was 15. My mother's stories.
Really?
Yeah. So she went into labor, and I was just like going, "Let me out!" So I was born, and 3 months later.
The guy that owns the block.
Women don't get hernias.
Nobody's ran for the same dude. Well, George, this could obviously be a much bigger club, at least.
If I knew then what I knew now.
They're trying to get him.
If I knew now what I knew then.
Trying to get like
Still, he's kind of rough for the club.
When I used to.
Yeah, but it's not like
I'll go get the queen.
it's not.
Wow, look at these. These must be
It's so long. I mean, you're not gonna get bounced back.
It's amazing actually. No one's been in this place for at least 24 hours.
I mean, just by
And the relics are incredible. It's like being in ancient Greece.
You know, put bars back here. There's all the water in here. And this leads right out to Brookline Street.
They had some incredible good bowling.
The sound booth is right there.
These guys are bowling like 380. I mean, I thought you could only get like 300.
But that would be the it's great. It's great. Yeah.
What are you going to do with all the crap? What do you mean? What? Madame obsequious? I don't know what you mean. It's crazy, huh?
This guy with this thing is like following us around.
I know. It's creeping me out. Oh!
Are you gonna tell people like where we are? This is actually Cambridge. It's not It's not ancient Greece, as I said before.
These are really cool.
Well, we're in the old bowling alley below the Middle East. The bowling alley, called Central Lanes, was open for 50 years and closed in 1990, as near as I've been able to understand. I suppose we ought to interview you one by one. And somehow Gabrielle seems the most appropriate choice to begin with.
I'll cue you. I'll prompt you.
Where's my beer? Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Your name is Gabrielle Travis.
Mm-hmm. Currently.
And prior to that?
Go ahead.
No. No, my name is Gabrielle Travis, and I live in Alston.
And what was that band you were in? I forget the name of it.
Murder those puppies. No, shoot that dog.
Shoot that dog. Now how long were you with them?
About a year, maybe a little more than a year. And before them, I was in a band called Heft that had a guitar player and the bass player from Chain Link Fence of many, many years ago, and the drummer from the I-Tones. And I don't know, before that I lived in New York and sang jazz.
Where in New York?
I lived on the Upper West Side when it was nice, before it got really expensive and yucked out.
Whereabouts?
West 72nd, like right near the Museum of Natural History.
Yes,
Central Park West, very nice area.
indeed it is. Did you used to walk down Amsterdam Avenue?
Occasionally, but I mean, I lived in New York for like 9 years, and you figure out really fast that you can walk up to 95th Street, and then you take the subway if you're going up any further. And there was a lot of cool stuff uptown, but you really wouldn't want to walk up there by yourself. There were those divisions of Spanish Harlem and Black Harlem started, I think, on the west side in the above 90s, and East Harlem was on the east side. It was pretty creepy, but I don't know if it's any worse than Boston. I don't know where I'm safe in Boston, so what's the difference?
Where were you born?
I was born in Mombasa, Kenya,
In what year?
1958.
When did you come to the States?
When or why?
No, when?
When? I came in 1976. Independence year.
Would it be presumptuous to ask why?
Go to college.
Where did you go to college?
Juilliard.
Juilliard School. In New York. What made you decide to come to Boston?
Well,
Your
God
mother might be
only
watching.
knows. I really don't know. I had this dream, and it just said, go to Boston. No, I don't know. I liked doing jazz, and when I lived in New York, because my major was basically piano technique and composition, and I did a lot of composing for theater, children's theater, performance art sort of stuff. But I've always really, really liked rock and roll, and at the time, New York was just not a rock and roll town. I mean, there were, a couple of things that were happening down there, but it didn't really have a scene. So I figured I could go to Boston or I could go to Los Angeles, and I don't like Los Angeles as a place to live, so I chose Boston.
I seemingly want the relationship.
Now I was told that someone from Dogzilla referred you to the folks in Life on Earth, Jesus DiMello, which
Yeah.
were the predecessors to the Adams Set. Could you describe that first meeting?
Well, it was a phone call, and it was 2 days after I quit Shoot That Dog, and I was at home feeling really depressed, and my husband went out and brought me a kit to build a filing cabinet so I'd have something to bang on and get it out of my system. And I was just sitting around being depressed, and I got a phone call from George Paul. Actually, I think Andy called me first, and it was something that they had discussed, and they gave me the number to Dark World, and Reeves was hanging out at Dark World, and told me to call him up, so I did.
Can you imagine having Dogzilla for a midwife?
For our viewers out there who don't know what Dark World is, could you enlighten us?
Dark World, the infamous apartment in Watertown. They could probably explain it better than me.
It started in, I think, 79 or 80. Neither of us were involved. Clark was there. Dark World was where the Dark lived, and some other people. And it's where the Dark was born, the Dark rehearsed there, and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have a whole lot of windows, so I don't know whether they named the place and then named the band, or named the band and then named the place, but it's sort of an institution, you know? I mean, even though the Dark no longer exists, people still call it Dark World.
I'm just giving it back.
Huge humidor.
Yeah, so he was there hanging out with guys, and I talked to him, and made sure that everyone in the band was at least 30. And I think we just made a date to get together and jam at Dark World, actually. And we had a great time, and it was good from the beginning, which is an experience I've never had before. It was like being a virgin and having sex and having the guy go, "It won't hurt. It really won't hurt. Just a little bit of blood," you know. And it was just like that. It was great.
No, I hear you guys.
It wasn't like that for me.
I hear you guys knocked off a song in 20 minutes.
Pretty much.
Would you sing the chorus for us?
No.
Well, what's the name of the
We're
song?
still working on it, actually.
Actually.
We work on it every time we play it.
It was a weird thing because we went up and I didn't know any of the tunes that they, that they'd worked on before.
Take it.
So I sort of made up something the morning that I was going to go work with them. I started fucking around with something in my head. So I went up there and Reeves gave me his guitar, which was incredibly intimidating, but I tried to plug it out. And we just worked on it pretty easily. It came pretty easily. That and we jammed on Blackbird that day because that was something that everybody knew we could easily figure out.
You mean the Paul McCartney song?
It doesn't sound much like it used
No.
to. We changed it around a little bit.
Just a tad.
You know. I mean, it's a good song, but it's like he was using all the wrong notes, so we just have to change the notes, and then it was fine.
See, I thought he was using all the right notes, but his attitude was way off base. So I just made it very autobiographical. And I try to approach it that way. Oh, no.
Oh, I see. You want my road?
Well, thank you very much, and I think we'll turn to another of the band's members now.
Okay.
Identify yourself, sir.
I'm Matt, and I live here in Cambridge. Beautiful, sunny Cambridge.
Have you ever seen the bowling alley before?
I've never been down here. I've walked by. It's here on Brookline Street. I used to live actually right across Brookline Street on Mass Avenue. But, so I knew there was a bowling alley here, but I never dared come down. And now that I'm here,
Did you see
I can see my judgment is getting worse as I get older. No, seriously, it's a really, really nice place.
How would you characterize the smell down here?
Musty.
Sort of like mildew?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of water. Apparently it floods every time it rains. That's my professional opinion.
So tell us more about yourself.
Well, I play bass, and I've been playing bass for quite a while, and I played in the Dark, and I played in Life on Earth, and I play in some other various odds and ends once in a while, but mainly between those two bands and this band, the Adam Said, those have taken up most of my time.
Why did the Dark decide they had to go their separate ways? Speaking as a member of the band.
Well, we had some attrition over the years. Mike Hausman left. Well, actually, before I came in, it had gone through, I think, about 5 or 6 lead singers in the first year that it existed. Before I joined, Clark was in it, and they kept on offing their lead singers. If they didn't like the way they sing, they just do away with them, usually on stage. And and I replaced a guy named Harris Taubman, and then a little while after I joined, Mike Hausman left and went on to play until Tuesday.
Okay.
And then Roger Greenawalt left. And when he left, that was it. Well, Clark, were you in the dark originally?
Yes.
You were.
They did one gig without me.
So you weren't, were you? You'd like to have been.
I missed the very first gig at Brandeis University.
What year was that?
Jail. He got caught running
It was
a
1980.
prostitution.
I was only 12 years old then.
So anyway, when Roger left, that was the last original member, with the exception of Clark, who really doesn't count after all. Just kidding. And it didn't last for too long after that. But the thing is that at that point, when Roger left, we got Reeves. And the Dark only stuck around for another 4 months after Roger left and Reeves came. But then Bob Familiar left, and who was left? Then that was, the people who were left ended up just starting Life on Earth, which was a lot different than the Dark.
Dissolving. What is he on the road or something? What's the story?
And we did Life on Earth for a few years. So I've been playing with Clark for 11 years, and with Reeves for, well, since '84.
So it'll be 7 years.
Yeah, and the three of us have been playing together for a long time, and you know, trying one thing and another. But we got to play with Gabrielle, and things have really picked up.
Where did you grow up?
New York.
New York City? Manhattan?
Well, in Manhattan, we moved around a lot.
Where were
It
your
makes me unstable.
Where were your movements confined to?
Well, New York State, largely. In and out of Manhattan, up to Dutchess County and then back to Manhattan.
You mean like Bear Mountain?
Actually, not far from Bear Mountain. We lived in Poughkeepsie, famous place.
Yes, famous if only for the French Connection.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, it's got a pretty distinctive name. But I imagine Poughkeepsie is a lot like a lot of other places. So, I've been here since
76. How long have you known Gabrielle?
I've only known her since October, I think.
Was that when the Adam Said formed?
Yeah, yeah.
October of 1990.
Yeah, yeah. The first time I actually met her was the day we played. I'd seen her band. I'd seen Shoot That Dog.
Who have now departed from the scene.
I don't know what they're doing. They still rehearse at the Sound Museum. The other guys that were left.
Where do you guys rehearse?
Sound Museum.
Ah, so that's how you know. This web of interconnectedness.
Isn't everything?
Well, it would be unusual if
This
it
is
weren't.
Cambridge, after all.
That's true. It has its own foreign policy, according to Mike Barnacle.
Right.
Or was that the other guy, the Herald guy?
The People's
Howie
Republic
Carr.
of Cambridge. Well, I kind of like it. I think we should succeed.
I think Cambridgeport should succeed. I mean, this would make a great underground beer hall, you know?
Yeah, what more do you need? A small city state if you've got an underground beer hall. You got the taps. You've still got the taps. A lot of great looking stuff down here.
So, if you don't mind me introducing a slightly negative note into this interview,
Oh, please do.
could you tell me what the most frustrating thing about playing in Life on Earth was?
Probably, well, apart from the fact that we did it for quite a while and we never really got anywhere, that's frustrating. There were a lot of frustrating things about playing Life on Earth. The first couple of gigs we did were immediately after the Dark had broken up, and the Dark done pretty well, and a lot of people came. You know, so the first couple of gigs we packed the houses that we played in, but those were probably the only times that we ever, you know, really filled a room, and it sort of trickled down. I mean, that's frustrating. I think what we were trying to do musically also was bound to frustrate us because we were trying to do an awful lot. We were trying to do what wasn't normally considered doable, conventional wisdom. We were trying to disprove the conventional wisdom, and we had kind of a chip on our shoulders about that. And you know, we did what we did, but you know, it wasn't always listenability wasn't always, you know, the primary concern. So you know, I mean, that goes for the people who play it as well as the people who listen to it. So a lot of the music I think that we made was hard for us to like, but
I don't think I'd agree with that necessarily. It wasn't that hard to like.
well, I mean, from our point of view, you know, we'd get stubborn and we'd work on something and work on it and really try and make it come off, and sometimes it just wasn't in the cards. I mean, that happens with any band, but what I'm finding with the way we're approaching this, which I think is, I think that there's a difference working with Gabrielle as opposed to working with Jace, but I think also for the three of us, I mean, we've just changed, you know, and it took a personnel change for us to behave differently, because you get in a rut when you're working with the same people all the time.
Tell me a little bit about Jace.
Jace is in a band now called Mercy Beats, which I saw the other night. It was an excellent band. That was their first gig that I saw. He's a singer, and very unique style, very unique sound to his voice, and a good songwriter. He's gone through a lot of different styles. I guess we all have. When we were working in the dark, he was singing some of the most outlandish stuff that you ever heard anybody sing anywhere. It's very convoluted melodically, and he toned that down somewhat. And I think he's finding a level that he's comfortable with, much in the same way that we're finding something that we're comfortable with now too. I think that there may have been like a chemistry thing, a chemistry problem that you know, we just couldn't work out. We tried, but he's very talented, extremely talented guy. Be interested to see how his band does.
How did Jesus DiMenno differ from Life on Earth?
Very little, except that it was more straight ahead a little bit. We tried to let the instruments go where the instruments really wanted to go. In Life on Earth, Reeves was using a harmonizer a lot. I was playing a lot with two separate parts, you know, a low part with the left hand and a high part with the right hand. We were trying to expand, you know, as though we had extra musicians. But so we realized at some point, I don't know when it was, that was just kind of ridiculous. And so in Jesus DiMenno, we dropped a lot of the stuff that might have been called fusion at that point.
The incredible thing is they're stocking all the beers and buying some liquors.
We didn't. That was essentially it was the same band. There weren't any new songs, and we only did a few gigs. It was basically a resurrection of the other thing.
I see. Okay, well, thank you, Matt. I think we'll turn to Clark
Sounds
for
like what you did.
the closing moments.
Your turn, Clark.
The focus is on Clark Goodpaster.
Your fly's open. Clark.
Francis.
How do you do,
Who
Clark?
was Hollow Heyday? Was Jay Dunn in Hollow Heyday?
Jay Dunn. Jay Duck Dunn?
No,
that's Donald.
Duck Dunn. Somebody was in Hollow Heyday that I know of.
I hope so.
Well, I like the shirt. I like it so much I even bought it, which is rare.
Yeah.
So, I guess
Put down
I
my
should-
bowling aid. What can I tell you?
Well, tell us the name of your band and how it came to be.
See, Adam said, and it was a project that I've been working on for the last 5 years. I handpicked everybody to be in the band. I write all the songs, you know, it's kind of like my band.
He actually plays all the instruments except live.
Right. Live, everything's sequenced, and all the sequences kind of run off my drums, so. Gabrielle just lip syncs, you know.
There's a story I heard about the name of the band. Reeves told me. Who wrote the song which the name of the band comes from?
That was one of my early compositions.
And what was it called? Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, right. The Bach cantatas. No, it was an old song of a band we used to have called Jesus D'Amiglio, and actually Matt wrote the lyrics. And there's a line in there, something about the Adam said. I don't know any of our lyrics, any of our tunes. So, but anyways, the Adam said appears in that song somewhere.
Has there been much confusion with the comic strip character, the Atom?
Not until now.
Uh-oh.
Now, I'm entirely confused.
What comic strip character? Yeah, I thought I knew all the comic strip characters. So.
Well, you see,
There's a little bitty guy. He wears a blue suit. And
Was
yeah,
he like
the
a
Atom was
DC?
kind of the Atom was kind of small, so he's sort of hard to miss. When he was in the Justice League, and they always had him perched on.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Okay, so that's a DC comic.
is your zoom moving okay on that thing?
I got a black spot on here, and I
Didn't
can't
he hang
get
out
rid
with
of
the woman who had the wasp? Or
He was
No, that's Gabrielle.
No, no.
Ant-Man's relative, right?
it. No, his name was Ray Palmer, and his wife was named Iris.
Yeah. Well, actually, I used to read
Ray?
that.
Adam? Well, Clark, tell us something about yourself, like where you were born, when.
Gracious. Well, I was born in beautiful downtown Burbank, California. Last year of the baby boom, theoretically, 1960. I'm the youngest member of the band. Still over 30, as we all are.
Were you over 30 when Gabrielle joined?
Barely.
Ah,
By
but
about
you
2
were.
months.
Well, that's good because you
Luckily, or else I would have been out. I mean, it would have been history.
That's
They would
right.
have got
That's right.
somebody else a lot older than me. Who I can't imagine, but somebody else.
Are there any other drummers alive? Aren't you the oldest living rock drummer in Boston?
I think I am. Hey.
Sorry, I left someone out.
And I've been a big fan of the Noise and Francis for many years. In fact, we met before, I know that.
under what circumstances?
I don't know, maybe at the Fort Apache party sometime?
Well, that could be. I'm not discounting it because I don't want to make Joey Harvard look like somebody I don't want to hang out with.
I used to work for Joe Harvard, so.
Oh, no kidding. Well, tell me a little more about that.
I managed Fort Apache for 8 months and managed to run it into the ground and basically totally destroy it. And I'm still now paying, literally. So,
What bands were you in prior to the Adam Said?
oh, gracious. Well, I started in the dark. I cut my teeth in that band. It was a long time ago. I got out of Berkeley, and I was a little Berkeley geek, and he formed this fusion new wave band called The Dark, and it was a very weird band. We thought we were really hip, and all the tunes were in odd meters, and we thought people wanted to hear interesting music, but we obviously realized that was not the case. They wanted to listen to garage rock, so we failed. After that, some of the members of The Dark formed a band called Life on Earth, which undoubtedly Matt spoke about. Matt was in Life on Earth. Thank you. And Jesus, after Life on Earth, I played with a band called Too Happy with Reeves and Hal Cragen and a gentleman named Tom Doobie, who's probably the premier pop producer in town. I played in Jackie Lee Williams, kind of a rockabilly band. I played with Boo Radley, which was ex-Rubber Rodeo people, which was actually a very good band, kind of died a sad death.
Weren't they from Providence?
Well, Bob and Trish are, yeah. The rhythm section, myself and Hal Cragen, and the keyboard player, Brian Packham, were from Boston.
What became of the Providence branch of the band?
The Providence what?
The Providence folks that were in that band.
Bob and Trish? Well, that band only dissolved about a month before this band started last fall. So Bob and Trish are just working on new material, and I think they're going to start trying to find some players who will be able to play that stuff. And we had a tough. That band had a tough end. We did a lot of showcases, and basically just everyone said we weren't up to snuff. So it was kind of tough. I mean, everybody is very critical directly to you. It's always hard. It was hard for them, considering that they were one of the more successful bands out of Boston, Rubber Road. So. Dynamics, yeah, I did other bands. I was in Death in Venice, Crowbar. Actually, I'm still in Death in Venice. Ongoing project beside this.
And how many gigs has the Adams Said done?
5 big gigs.
What's your favorite of the 5?
Oh, the last one for sure. We played a show at the Channel with this band called Mucky Pup, and 3 other bands or something. And nobody in any of the other bands was over 21. They were all really young and all very energetic, and they all played with their shirts off because they had the type of body we could do that. Gabrielle could play with her shirt off. The rest of us, it'd be really embarrassing.
Actually, the guy in the band before us played in his BVDs.
Just his BVDs. He was great, I have to say.
Well,
I think he was boring. He had no
Gabrielle was
body.
not impressed.
His body was a little.
We were impressed.
A little floppy,
You know,
but
he had the body of a 12-year-old.
Yeah, but
he was a 12-year-old.
Come on, when's the last time you went to the Channel and you saw somebody jump on the bar that runs perpendicular to the stage and just dance while his guitar player is playing a 7-minute guitar solo?
I can't remember, but
Don't hit me. Don't hit me.
it was not a turn on.
Oh, yeah, I really couldn't imagine being a turn on.
Well, I think you should speak for yourself, okay?
I had a way.
Although I did wind up going back asking everyone if I could borrow their jockey shirts after that set.
Any props, man.
Let me ask one more bizarre question. Gabrielle, what's your favorite stage gesture that Clark made?
I only make one gesture.
What's my favorite stage gesture that he makes?
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Do it.
He bobs his head.
Do it.
I'm not playing.
It's great.
It's not forced, man.
It's a total
I'm an
turn
artist.
on.
I just react to the situation.
And what's your favorite gesture that Gabrielle does?
Ooh, on the spot.
I don't think he ever looks at me when we're
That's right.
playing.
That's right. I tend to be
He
totally
has no
absorbed.
idea.
Could this be perhaps a multiple choice question?
Top 3.
Which is okay.
You should be
Like-
talking
like
about
that
Reeves,
image
'cause
of
he's
the,
not here.
the brooding.
Just to complete this odious circle, what is
That's
your
good.
favorite gesture that Matt makes?
Well, it's definitely the Matt kind of stomp.
The lurch.
The lurch.
The lurch. It's brilliant.
It's like you look at him, you can't. It's hard to imagine the guy's actually a relatively graceful basketball player.
I'm emoting, like, grace has no place in this.
Oh, it's awesome. And for the band member that isn't here, he's on a plane. He's leaving on a jet plane. My favorite Reese gesture is when he points his guitar at me. He just goes. I love it. It sends me waves of energy, and it's very cool.
Has he told you that he's pointing it at you?
What? Has he told me that it's? No. But
Gabrielle
I
has
just
enough
sort of
sense to know when
see
something's
it.
being pointed at.
Maybe he's sucking waves
Unlike
of
me.
energy from you. Have you ever done that?
This is true. Or perhaps we're completing a circuit, which is another way of looking at it, but it is very cool.
I think to wrap up, our viewers are going to want to know who you are. Introduce
I'm Reeves
yourself.
Gabrels. I'm in California right now, and I'm going through a hair transplant,
Hair weave.
hair weave
Financing
thing.
available.
And even wet, it still holds up to the rock and roll life. We all find so wacky and absorbing.
This man is lying. He's not Reeves Gabrels. Reeves couldn't
I'm
make
Reeves
it.
Gabrielle C. Travis, pastor.
Berg.
Berg.
Well, would you guys like to
Reeves
join in the
Gabrielle,
rousing
Travis.
cheer of the Adams Said?
No.
Oh, okay. And I guess I'll turn the tables on myself. Just point this at me.
Okay. Do I have to push anything?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
The
the
Adams
video
Said, hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! this is Francis DiMenno, and I just spoke with the Adam said, Gabrielle Travis, Reeves Gabrielle, who is absent, Clark Goodpaster, and Matt
Gruenberg.
Bruenberg. Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Place in Central Lanes in Cambridge.